I grew up on construction sites, like many of you. I was part of a family business long before I knew what a payroll report was. But here's what I wish more contractors knew. If your family is helping your business, and most families are, you may be missing one of the biggest opportunities to legally keep more money in your household.
No more burnout, no more fear. We'll build it strong, make it clear. Not just a grind, but a dream that's true. Building a business that works for you.
Today, we're talking about how to properly employ family members, document it correctly, stay compliant, and potentially save thousands of dollars every year. If you've ever wondered whether your spouse or kids should be on the payroll, this episode could change the way you run your business. Let's say, have you ever looked around your business and realized your family is already helping you, but you're not sure if you're doing it correctly? Today's conversation touches on just that. I'm your host, Deanna Lucas, and welcome back to the Builder's Edge, where we help you master the business side of building. Before we jump in, if your social media is taking way too much time, check out my social media management platform. Schedule your content across multiple platforms from one dashboard, stay organized, and save hours every week. You'll find the link in the show notes. Now, let's get into today's episode. But before we do that, before we hear I know you're going to think, oh my gosh, another financial episode. Here we go. Another conversation about numbers. I want you to stay with me for just a minute because this isn't really a conversation about taxes or, other money. It's a conversation about family. It's a conversation about the business you've worked so hard to build and how to create more opportunity, more security, and more financial strength for the people you love most. And for generations, family businesses have been the backbone of this country, of America. Fathers and sons, fathers and daughters, mothers and daughters, husbands, wives, entire families work together to build something that lasts. Yet so many business owners are unknowingly missing opportunities that could help them legally keep more of what they've earned and create long-term benefits for their families. That's why I'm excited about today's guest. Kate Adams has spent years helping families and business owners better understand money, taxes, financial strategies, and wealth building opportunities. But she is passionate about financial education and helping people make informed decisions that create stronger financial futures. Today, Kate is going to help us unpack one of these most misunderstood topics among contractors and small business owners: employing those family members in your business. Who can you hire? What jobs can they perform? How young is too young? What documentation should you keep? How do you determine reasonable compensation? What happens at tax time? How do you build a system that works year after year? If you've ever looked around your business and realized, hey, this family's already doing some of this stuff, but you're not sure if you're doing it correctly, today's conversation's for you. Welcome, Kate.
Hey, thank you, Deanna. And it is awesome to be here. I'm super excited to get to share with you and your guests and hopefully impart some great knowledge to help them really maximize some savings and growth opportunities.
Well, I'm glad you're here. You are definitely a wealth of information. So this is just one little rice seed of information you have. So let's start at the beginning. What first got you interested in helping families and business owners understand how to use financial strategies like this to build wealth and keep more of what they earn?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a business owner myself, we all love tax time, right?
Oh, yeah, it's favorite time of year.
Yeah, great, right? And I tell all of my business owner clients, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And so many people are missing massive opportunities to minimize what they're paying the government and instead put that into not only their pockets but also their kids, their family members, etc. And so, I am a huge proponent of generational wealth and blessings and the more you know, the better that you can do if you know how to apply the tax code and how it's written for you. So I am a fully licensed financial advisor. I give financial advice, and I don't give tax advice. I tell people I give tax ideas. Talk to your CPA, but I'm well versed in all things finance, and some of that obviously is taxes as well.
Right. Of course, and that's true. But you can lead us in the right direction here for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, I grew up in a family business, and many of our listeners are running family businesses today. It's very common. When you hear family business, what opportunities immediately come to mind that most owners are overlooking?
Retirement accounts.
Okay.
So many business owners are, they're making money, but they're not paying themselves for their retirements. And so I
Yeah.
sit down with business owners all the time that have nothing set up for retirement for them or, any of their family members. And so, in doing that, they're missing out on the opportunity to save for their retirement so that they, can hopefully retire one day. But also they're missing out on the massive tax benefits that the government has, set up so that they have people have money for their retirement. So that's
Yes.
really the tax savings and the incentives there, that a lot of business owners just don't know about, and a lot of things they can do for their family members to utilize that as well.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about employing family members. Who can legally work in a family-owned business?
So anybody can work in a family owned business. But the thing that I really talk to a lot of my business owners about is on their retirement accounts, they can set up retirement accounts or tax deferred accounts for them and their spouses and their kids if they're employed, depending on how they set that up. One of the things that I recommend to a lot of business owners is what's called a Roth IRA.
Right.
So a Roth IRA allows you to contribute post tax dollars. So just a quick example. If you put the max you can put is 7,500 a year right now for 2026. So if you put that in every year, right, that 7,500 counts as income for the year that you put it in, but all of the growth on that account is tax free. So if your count is doubling every, it should be hopefully if your investors or your advisors doing a good job,
Uh-huh.
it should be doubling every 8 to 10, 11 years, right? And so if
Uh-huh.
you look at the longevity of an account, that's a lot of growth and money that you're making potentially tax free if you have it in a Roth. And you can set those up for your children as well.
Right. Okay, now is that you're set you can set those up regardless of whether or not you employ them. Those can be set up for a child anyway, correct?
Well, that's the unique thing. So a Roth has to be what's called earned income. So
Okay.
really, most of the time it's only in family businesses because, let's say that I have two kids. So you can pay your children up to $16,100 for 2026 without
Wow.
them having to pay any federal taxes on it. So if
Wow.
you 1099 your child, that's $32,000 that your business gets to write off as contract expense, and your child doesn't have to pay a single dollar in federal income tax. Depending on
Wow.
what state they're in, right? They may have to pay state income
Right.
taxes because all the states have different limits and different amounts and all that. But that's still a
But
huge tax savings.
yeah, it's not significant compared to the savings there for sure.
Right. I
Wow.
mean, most business owners are in, anywhere from a 22 to a 34% tax bracket. So, if you look at that, that's $32,000 just for two kids. If, that you don't have to pay 34% taxes on, that's a massive savings.
Massive. And then, I mean, not to mention what the investment does for
Right.
them and your family
Exactly.
too. Okay, so who can be considered a child that you've employed for this in your business?
I know you can do your own children, and then if you have adopted children or anything like that, I think that you can do like nieces and nephews as well. As
Okay.
far as adults, those would be minor. Those would be what's called minor Roth IRAs. Adults would be under the normal tax code, but they can set up Roth IRAs as well.
Yeah.
And same thing. It's so the max for a Roth IRA is 7,500 for 2026. It
Uh-huh.
usually goes up every year.
Uh-huh.
Or your earned income. So, for example, if you paid your kid $5,000, the most that you could put in would be $5,000. But if you
Mhm.
paid them 16,000, the most that you could put in would be the 7,500.
Okay. Now, I know everybody out there's thinking it. They're driving down the road, the car seat's in the back of this car, and they're thinking, how young's too young? So, how young is too young?
Well, so it has to be reasonable duties. So I always give the example. If you listen to Beyonce, she had her daughter like crying on one of her albums, right? And so like it was her like daughter laughing or crying or something, and she could pay her for that. So it's reasonable duties. And I have nephews and like they help me shred papers or
Yeah.
sweep, and they're 3 years old, right? So it just has to be somewhat reasonable, or if you use your kid for marketing, right?
That's what I was just
I
about
don't.
to say. Some
I was
people
gonna
don't
say,
put their kids' face on anything, and then some people are out there with their kids' face on everything. And
yeah,
that's
and I tell
modeling
people all
or
the time,
yeah.
people like all my content. The content that gets viewed the most is those boys. Okay, everybody loves to see them, and so I'll have them do different things sometimes, and use them for marketing, right? Because that's
Uh-huh.
a reasonable duty, and
Yeah,
so there's definitely benefits to doing that. You just have to make sure, obviously don't do anything illegal, and
sure.
ask your CPA just to make sure, but yeah, and as long as it's reasonable duties, then that counts.
Okay. So let's talk about some more family duties. We're talking, I think, if I'm not mistaken, let's say you still run your business out of your home and you're counting part of that as your, office.
Yeah,
If a child takes a broom to your office and, at closing every day, what are some other
absolutely.
things, little tasks?
Yeah, so shredding papers, filing stuff, cleaning, advertising, handing out, if you hand out flyers or paperwork or anything like that,
Yeah,
um, everything is going to be kind of different based on the business that it is. But
sure.
there's a lot of things, if you have your kids and they're old enough to do this safely, like with contracting, clean up a contract site, pick up the
Yeah,
trash, take out the trash, all of those
yeah.
things are reasonable duties, that they need to get done, right? Somebody's going to do
Right.
them. And so
Yeah,
a lot of times your kids are already doing them for free, right? So,
right.
and one thing that I tell people too, on these accounts, so, you want to set up a bank account in the child's name that
Okay.
you put money into. Okay. So if the IRS ever comes and says, you're claiming this, right? You can show, hey, I put the money into the bank account.
Uh-huh,
Here's where I did it. And then
uh-huh.
if you set up a Roth IRA, right, you show the money coming from that bank account into the Roth IRA. So the Roth IRA is really just, paying your kids is a great tax strategy,
Uh-huh.
and savings. Obviously, talk to a
Sure.
CPA, make sure it works for you. But then by doing that into a Roth IRA, you're avoiding the taxes on it as the parent. They're
Yeah.
avoiding the taxes on it as the child, and then all of the growth on that account is tax free. So you're
Yeah.
really avoiding three different levels of taxation by implementing that strategy, which I think is huge.
That is great. It is great. And for those of you out there that have teens that are on social media all the time anyway, I'll
Social
work
media
with you to,
managers.
yeah, social media employees. I'll get them
Yes,
I'll help get them set up on the platform and I'll show them exactly how to do, and they will just rock it. Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Once somebody decides, okay, I think I'm going to try this, put them on a payroll. How do they determine what a fair and reasonable wage should be?
I think and that might be a better question for a CPA as well. Or just ask ChatGPT, right? What is a fair wage for these tasks? Like I said, it's all the description is reasonable,
Uh-huh.
and fair duties. So there's a lot of wiggle room in there, in my opinion. But don't, don't be don't be crazy with it.
Right.
Like,
Okay, so you mentioned about the bank account. Is there any
yeah.
other documentation that supports the amount that's being paid?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you do want to make sure that you 1099 each
Okay.
child at the end of the year so that you just have that tax form documentation that you are, that you paid them so that you can write it off on your taxes and it shows as earned income for them. So that's an important thing to do. And then obviously, if you are contributing that to a Roth IRA, um, that that has its own forms and things associated with that.
Uh-huh.
There aren't forms on the front end, but if they do take the money out, then there can be forms generated on the back end. And one thing that I did want to mention, so
Okay.
two important things about the Roth IRA.
Okay.
One is you can take out the money that you put in without any taxes or penalties. So,
Oh,
for
that's great.
example, yeah,
Yeah.
if you put $200 a month into, an account for your child for 18 years, and it grew at like 12%, you would have put in about $43,000 into that account, but
Uh-huh.
you would have grown to about 153,000 is what that
Wow.
account would have made. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all
That's
of that
amazing.
growth, that interest, that 110,000 is totally tax free as long as the child leaves it in that account till they're 59 and a half.
Oh, okay.
Right? But that 43,000 that you put in or you contributed, they
Uh-huh.
can take that money out and use it to buy a house, college expenses, anything like
Right.
that. So it's, a lot of people are like, oh, it's like a savings account. No, it's way better than that.
Yeah.
But it has, because of the growth opportunity and the
Yeah.
tax savings, but you can still pull that money out for them to use as adults or college students or whatever, and I think that's a huge benefit as well. But it is important to note, the growth, you want to make sure that they leave that there till 59 and a half so that they actually get those tax benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, it is there in case of emergencies. You just have to pay
Absolutely.
taxes on it. It's not like
Right.
it disappears until
True.
59 years
Very
old,
true.
but it is there. And then they'll be putting more in too, so they'll be able to take more out too, probably, hopefully, as the years come too.
Absolutely.
Okay. So some of that documentation, I'm thinking, nobody wants to be audited, but it might not hurt if maybe there was, you actually had job description and timesheets, and this actually shows the, when you put money in, shows the records of the payroll.
Yeah.
Maybe some
Those
photos of
are
work completed. Uh,
Yeah. Those
yeah,
are those are definitely, good things to
couldn't
do.
hurt.
I think that's, never hurts to go above and beyond, but
Right.
make sure if you at least have the money going from the business account to the child's bank account and then that 1099 for every year. Um,
Yes.
that's a good place to start. All those things you said, obviously
Yeah.
are great as well.
Good. Yes. Keep those records updated yearly. So. Okay, walk us through the process from start to finish. If someone listening today wants to start employing a family member next month, what's the first step they should take?
First step I would say is one, set up a bank account in the child's name. Two, it never hurts to consult your CPA. I am large proponent of make sure, check with your CPA, check with your financial advisor before you do anything so that you can do it right starting out instead of, I've had plenty of clients that have come to me and they're like, hey, I did this. And I'm like, okay, whoa, now we got to fix things. So, set up a bank account for the child. Touch base with your CPA if you have one, or if you don't have one, then maybe find one. Touch base with your financial advisor if you have one. If you don't, obviously, I'm happy to help you or answer questions as well. And then, once you establish the roles that you're going to have your child fulfill and the pay that you're going to pay them, have that money going into the account in their name. And then at the end of the year, you're going to 1099 them. Now, if you want to take it a step further, like I said, and set up, a minor Roth IRA, um, you can do them on your own. I recommend you go through a financial advisor just to make sure that you are doing what's best.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times, financial advisors will make sure that you don't break any rules. Hopefully they're good, right?
Right.
And that you're maximizing your growth. There's several stats out there, but most clients on average get about a 4% better growth rate with a financial advisor than they do on their own.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal,
Yeah.
So reach out to a financial advisor to help you set up the Roth IRA portion and make sure that all gets set up correctly.
Yes.
And then, like I said, at the end of the year, definitely make sure that you file write and file that 1099 for the
Yes.
child with your taxes or your CPA.
Okay. Okay. So you've mentioned that, you don't typically do tax, but when tax season arrives, what should business owners expect that they're going to have, or they're, what do they expect then?
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't do taxes,
Uh,
but typically they would just need to file that 1099 with their CPA. So, if you have a CPA, you'll just fill out a 1099 form for your child,
uh-huh.
how much you paid them, and then you'll file that, or you'll either give that to your CPA or have them do it for you. If you file your taxes on your own, God bless you. But
Right.
you can file a 1099 under your TurboTax as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kinda all you need.
Yeah, a lot of people will come. Contractors are the worst about it. They'll come, and then maybe their tax advisor will say something like, you can either go buy a new piece of equipment or you can dump a bunch of money, send it, write a check to the government. And instead of buying another piece of equipment maybe you don't need or updating your truck that's not really important, let's think about this family as a whole. This family as a
Yeah,
unit, and let's start investing back in what's the most important parts. Yes,
absolutely.
most important
Well,
piece.
and, we haven't even talked or touched on, like, tax deferred accounts. So most
Okay.
business owners don't have, like, basically the self-employed equivalent of a 401k. So you can do a solo 401k, a simple IRA, a SEP. Again, talk to a financial advisor to figure out
Yeah.
which one would fit your needs best. But a lot of times I've helped clients and, we've put money into those accounts and it's tax deferred, which means it doesn't count as income in that year. So that's huge. Like I had a client that we put 32,000 into that account and it kept them in a lower tax bracket. So that was
Wow.
a massive win for them as well. So there's so many things that you can do to
Yeah.
really help you on the investment side when it
Yeah.
comes to your taxes.
Okay, Kate, if someone listening today realizes they've been leaving money on the table or wants help that help financially struggling, they're struggling with the family business, doing this correctly, how can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So you can reach out to me. The best way to get a hold of me is my cell phone. It is 405-550-8358. And I'll comment it or, have you posted in the
Okay.
comment section as well.
Okay, give it to us
Uh,
one more time.
it's 405-550-8358. And you can
Okay.
text or call me is the best way. And then we can schedule an appointment. But you can also find me on social media. I'm Kate Adams OK on Instagram. And then Kate Adams is my Facebook handle as well. So reach
Okay.
out to me on there. But it costs nothing to talk to me. All my consultations are free, but it could cost you a lot not to. So definitely reach out and let's see if you're leaving some money on the table.
Great. Okay, so you were showing me just before we got on this episode here about how you actually, when somebody contacts you, how you actually go through and actually show them the numbers. And I think that's very important because you just rattled off some numbers, and really there's a gap in those numbers is huge. So if you want to kind of share that, pull your screen up and share that with us now when somebody does make an appointment with you, free consultation. What does some of that look like?
Yeah, let me share I can share my screen real fast. So this was when we were talking about this, this is a slide that I prepped. So, what I had said is if you did $200 a month from the time, for 18 years, you would have about $153,000 in that account. So you would have contributed 43,000, you would have made about 110 at a 12% average rate of return. So if you're looking at that, now your kid's 18, if they want to pull 43 up to 43,000 out for, you know, house, college, whatever they can,
Uh-huh.
or they can let it sit there and keep growing. But if they kept contributing $200 a month, by the time they were 60 years old, they would have over $7.5 million,
Oh
all
my,
tax free. Is that not insane?
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hate to say it, but I can remember, something, minor as lunch used to cost, just a few dollars not too long ago. And so, $200, that seems like a lot a month, but by the time this child is 18 or 25, $200 is not going to be anything really. It's going to be a drop in
Right.
the hat. They're
Yeah.
going
And you look at
to,
it as like it's $50 a week.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
nothing. Just, have
Yeah.
a few less frou-frou coffees.
Right.
Really? I mean, honestly, right?
True.
But
Yeah.
make your coffee at home. One last
Absolutely.
trip into the gas station, uh, uh, junk, food aisle or something.
Convenience
I don't
store.
know,
Yeah.
something it's
Yes.
very little. That's pretty
Most
amazing.
people waste $200 a month,
Waste,
or
yes,
or more. So,
absolutely. Okay. So, as we wrap up today's episode, like always, I want to leave you with a challenge. This week, I want you to set aside about 15 minutes and do a family business audit. Take out a little piece of paper, going old school here. Write down every way your spouse, your children, or maybe other family members contribute to your business. Maybe they answers calls. They, are texting back. Organize your paperwork. Help with your social media, clean your corner of the house, or maybe go to your office and clean it, file receipts, take photos, help on job sites, or handle any kind of administrative tasks. Then take a second, look at your business. If you operate from maybe a home office, think about that space you're using and the activities happening there. Are there opportunities you've overlooked? Are there responsibilities family members are already handling that you've never formally recognized? Don't make any major changes yet. Just start by creating some awareness here and schedule your meeting with Kate. Like she says, it costs you nothing, but it may cost you huge in the long run. And sometimes the biggest opportunities in our business are hiding right in plain sight. And if today's conversation opened your eyes to something new, reach out to Kate and her team right away. Ask those questions. Get professional guidance. The goal isn't just to save money this year, it's to build a stronger financial future for your family for years to come. One more thing before you go. If you're spending hours every week trying to keep up with your social media, check out my social media management platform. You can manage all of your social accounts in one place and schedule content weeks and even months in advance, saving you time so you can focus on running your business instead of chasing your marketing. And if you found value in today's episode, please do me a favor, like, review, and subscribe to the show. Those subscriptions and reviews help us reach more contractors, more business owners, and more families. Until next time, we'll see you on the Builder's Edge.